expensive.
Yeah.
But that's the kind of thing that I don't think everyone realizes. And even in California, which city you live in, which county you live in, the cost of like a building permit to build the studio that I was able to build out here in West Michigan. If I had built this exact same studio back in Santa Clara County, I know someone who was looking at having an addition or a structure built on their property there.
Mm-hmm.
Just the building permit would have cost around $20,000. Just the permit, not even the building.
Wow.
Out here in Eureka Township, I had to pay, I believe, $30 for a zoning permit, and that was it. And then we could build. So things like that are things to be aware of and be pragmatic about. Mm-hmm. That no, maybe you can't afford to do this in one location, but if you're willing to be flexible, you might be able to afford to do it in a different location.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's a very smart idea. So in everything that you've done and experienced so far, what would you say has been the best advice you've ever received?
That's hard to say. I wouldn't really say I get a lot of advice because usually the things I'm doing are so crazy. Like I found a greeting card at a store earlier this year. Mm-hmm. And I bought it and I framed it because it's a picture of a bird and it just says, "That's a crazy idea. It doesn't make sense. You'll do it?" "Of course," I said. So I don't get so much advice from people as much as, "Are you sure you should be doing that? Are you sure you should be moving there? Are you sure you can make enough money?" I think the closest, best advice I've ever received was from my friend Chris Morrissey back when I started my bridal business. And she commented to me one day that because I was doing these custom couture bridal accessories, it put me in a completely different little niche than most of the other wedding industry professionals, where you're a florist, you're a videographer, you're whatever, a wedding coordinator. And all those professions had certain images and certain expectations of how you present yourself and how you present your business. But I was so off the wall, she commented to me one day that she felt I was really fortunate because I started my business and was able to just be myself. Like this was back before authenticity had become a thing, sure. Like it is today. Yeah. This was back in probably 96. Mm-hmm. And she said, I couldn't get away with that. I could, you dress, because I dress the way I like to dress, which isn't always terribly conventional either. Mm-hmm. I name my businesses. I was doing guerrilla marketing before the guerrilla marketing book first came out. And she just pointed out to me how fortunate I was to be able to do that. And it's something that I honestly don't think I would have realized for years, if ever, that was the case. But that was very, very valuable insight she gave me because it helped to keep me very centered and very authentic. And that it's not that I'm this rebellious nonconformist, but it gave me more confidence to just stay true to myself. Because there is no expectation for a couture accessory designer.
Sure.
Where it would have been easier. Because there were points, like when I started the business as Happily Ever After. And when I changed the name to The Flirty Bride, there was pushback from some established professionals in the industry that they felt it wasn't an appropriate name for a bridal business. Because a bride shouldn't be flirting. But I just stuck to my guns. I kept the name and everybody loved it. The brides loved it. And that's what mattered most. And I was happy with it. So I followed that insight that she shared with me. And I think it's been very good. Not just in my professional career either. It gave me a lot more confidence overall, personally and professionally, to just be me, just do things that I want to do. If they don't work out, I'm only hurting myself. That's how I've always looked at it. The risk. I don't have kids. I'm not responsible for the safety and security of little human beings that way. I've had usually a dog in the past, but they also just go with the flow. So the risks weren't huge, but I do understand that a lot of the risks that I've taken and a lot of the things that I've tried are considered unconventional.
Okay.
But they paid off. I'm happy. I'm happy where I'm at. I'm doing something I love that I never truly believed I'd be able to do as a career full time. It would always have been just in the back of my mind thinking, I can make things, when I'm not working, like I did for years in California. And then you just give them away as gifts to everybody. Mm-hmm. But now everything has come together, and I feel like when I started doing Art Prize and started Tinygami, this is what I'm supposed to do. This is it. And then after the health diagnosis this year, a friend of mine, my friend Catherine, pointed out to me, I don't think your art is actually your true calling. I think your ability to communicate with people, what's going on with you right now, and being able to be positive and to be able to be proactive in dealing with this health crisis, I think that's your true calling, is to help other people see that there are possibilities in that arena, not specifically in the art world. And that made sense to me. And I actually, as soon as she said it, I agreed with her. But I also understand that my art is the medium to help share that message now.
Yeah.
So I'm doing two things that are very meaningful to me. One that I had always hoped to do. One I never imagined I'd have to do. But now that I'm doing it, it's meaningful, and it makes me feel good to try to present what is considered a very negative thing in a way that is hopeful and optimistic.
Yeah. Well, it's absolutely wonderful that you're able to do that, and do a very, very good job of it. It definitely comes through your speech and your work on how in much you love life. So thank you so much for being able to do that.
Thank you.
So again, thank you, Stacie, for taking the time today to chat with me. I really appreciate you taking the time. If the listeners would like to see some of your work or get a hold of you, where is the best place they can go to do that?
It would be the tinygami.com website.
Okay.
Or on Instagram as Tinygami. Those are the two places. I have a Facebook page, but I've neglected it. I need to get more into that next year.
Sure.
Would be my New Year's resolution.
Sure. 2019, That makes sense. Great. And so I will put links into the show notes for both of those places, and the listeners can click right through them.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate this opportunity.
Of course, it's my pleasure. Thank you very much. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Advance Your Art podcast. If you like this episode, please go into iTunes and give us a 5-star rating. And while you're there, hit the subscribe button so that every single time I release a new episode, it will go directly to you without even thinking about it. If you're interested in hearing older episodes, please go to advanceyourart.com, where you can find the catalog of everything I've done so far, as well as contact information and projects I'm working on. Thank you again, and have a great day.